A Seventh-day Adventist was acting erratically, doing cartwheels, pounding on cars in the parking lot, pounding on windows. A tenant felt threatened, felt scared. He shot and killed him, and he was acquitted, and he wasn't charged. Two men were fighting. They fell into the water. While one was getting out, the other one shot him in the back of the head, killing him. He was acquitted of all charges, all because he claimed, stand your ground. These are the type of tragic incidents that have been happening all over Florida since 2005, when the Stand Your Ground law became in effect. How many more homicides? How many more innocent people being killed, according to legislation, before they open their eyes and see that this law is not helping? Miami Police Chief John F. Timothy called the law unnecessary and dangerous, and that it's whether trick-or-treaters or kids playing in the yard of someone who doesn't want them there, or some drunk guy stumbling into the wrong house, you're encouraging people to possibly use deadly force where it shouldn't be used. So I asked myself, what is the Stand Your Ground law? The Florida statute says the Stand Your Ground law is a person is justified in using force, except deadly force, against another when to an extent that the person reasonably believes that such conduct is necessary to defend him or herself or another against other imminent use of unlawful force. However, a person is justified in the use of deadly force and does not have a duty to retreat if he or she reasonably believes that such force is necessary to prevent imminent death or great bodily harm to herself or himself, or another, to prevent the imminent commission of forcible felony. A person is presumed to have held reasonable fear of imminent peril of death or great bodily harm to himself or herself or another when using defensive force that is intended or likely to cause death or great bodily harm to another, if not the person himself. The person is allowed to use defensive force which was used in the process of unlawfully and forcibly entering or unlawfully forcibly entering a dwelling, residence, occupied vehicle, or if that the person had removed or was attempting to remove. To remove another against that person's will or from the person's residence, they can stand firm. The justification describes that in the preceding sections of the chapter is not available to a person who is attempting to commit or committing or escaping from the commission of forcible felony, or it provokes the use of force against himself or herself unless such force is so great that the person reasonably believes that he or she is in imminent danger of death or great bodily harm, and every reasonable means to escape such danger other than the use of force which is likely to cause death or great bodily harm to assailant. The Stand Your Ground law is resulting in too many justifiable homicides. According to the state crime stats, Florida averaged 12 justifiable homicide deaths a year from 2000 to 2004. After the Stand Your Ground law was passed in 2005, it increased to almost triple the average, causing 35 a year, which increased over 283% from 2005 to 2010. You see, facts are the truth. The fact of the matter is that the Stand Your Ground law has brought the community nothing but more homicides and massive confusion, which I know will only get worse over time if nothing is done to prevent these tragedies from happening in our communities. So what should we do about this? How can we be able to change the situation from Trayvon Martin cases, from Jordan cases happening all over Florida, where teens are being killed, teens are being shot down, people are claiming stand your ground law just because they feel they have the right to take another person's life. What is the solution? After a study was done in Texas A&M University, it showed that the stand your ground law is like the Lone Star State Capsule Doctrine. This law also gave people the right to use deadly force. These laws do not prevent crime, but actually increase murder rates. This makes the argument for anti-gun advocates who wish to see these laws struck down and taken away. There is also evidence that these laws encourage people to turn tense situations into killings. That's why it's imperative for this stand your ground law to be repealed. We should go back to the time where these situations were handled by highly trained police officers and not average citizens by taking matters into their own hands. We will continue to see innocent people die. Months after Trayvon Martin was killed, Florida Governor Rick Scott ordered a task force to investigate the stand your ground law to see if it needed to be changed. However, the same committee that created the law was the same committee that went to go investigate to see if there was anything wrong. And they only made one minor change, which allows the volunteers for the Neighborhood Crime Watch to only observe, report, and watch. The bias is clear after the situation. A self-defense claim as a result. 1 year later, tragedy has struck again. Jordan has been shot down in a vehicle with 4 other friends. And a man shot the vehicle claiming stand your ground. These situations will continue to happen. As a result, we need to repeal the stand your ground law. It needs to happen immediately. It needs to happen now so we can save our future and our streets. Thank you.